What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Off the Mic Sports Network and our continuing series of team previews and division previews for the NFL season 2025 coming up in about a week's time. And, we're running through all of these divisions. And the next one that I want to do is the AFC East. And this is an interesting division because there's a lot going on here, a lot of change. Specifically amongst, there's some coaching change and turnover with a couple of teams in this division. There is some quarterback turnover as well, and potentially for some turmoil in this division that you may not expect. So let's start at the top. I think it's pretty cut and dry. Who's winning this division? It's the Buffalo Bills. I think the Buffalo Bills have an argument, and depending on when we get to making my Super Bowl and conference championship picks, I might consider picking the Buffalo Bills first to win the AFC and also to potentially win the Super Bowl. Because if not now, when? Josh Allen was the MVP of last season. He was fantastic. He played really well. It was one of his best seasons ever. Now he's gone out and gotten engaged, gotten married, and it's really, the growth at a certain point, and especially now where we don't know really what's going to go on with the Chiefs. Rashid Rice is now suspended for the early portion of the season. And at some point, the Kansas City Chiefs are just not going to be on top. But in terms of this division, it's pretty clear. Like, the Bills have been the class of this division since Tom Brady walked out the door and went to Tampa Bay and then ultimately retired after that. Like, the Bills have been the class of this division and have been one of the best teams in the AFC for a while now, and it's because of Josh Allen. James Cook is a damn good running back. They had young receivers last year. Stephon Diggs not there anymore. I think that this is going to be a really solid year for the Buffalo Bills, and I think, again, the story of the season for them is not going to be winning this division. It's going to be, can they ultimately get over the hump and finally get back to the Super Bowl and ultimately potentially win the Super Bowl? Because I think this is a really good football team. This is a really, really good football team. And despite some of the flaws that they have shown over the last several years, and having these bumps in the road, this feels like really a one of those fork in the road type moments where it's like, hey, do you take that next step? But to me, they're the class of this division. Then the rest of this division is fascinating to me because, like I said, you've got a team in the Miami Dolphins who have a lot of turmoil. The whole Tyreek Hill situation that dominated. Is Mike McDaniel a good coach? Tua Tagovailoa, who literally is like one more concussion away from retirement. So you got that. The New York Jets have a new head coach. They have a new quarterback. And then you've got the New England Patriots, who bring in old friend Mike Vrabel after a year away, bring him in. They bring in they obviously have Drake May, first full year of starting. So that'll be something to watch. And, there's talent on this team. So I'm going to say this is going to be one of my bolder predictions of the entire NFL. I think the New England Patriots, have a chance to finish above 500 this year. And I think they're the second best team in this division. I really like Drake May. And I think, hey, Josh McDaniels, you say what you will about him as a head coach. The guy's a great offensive mind. And I think him with Drake May is going to do wonders for him. Young receivers, this is going to be a good little team, and I'm really fascinated to see the growth of Drake May. Stephon Diggs he is one of the big reveals. Like, we'll see how healthy he is coming in. Ultimately, after he ended up tearing his ACL when he was in Houston last year. I like this New England team, and above all else, I think the biggest reason why I have the most faith in them in this division is because of Mike Vrabel. I think Mike Vrabel is a really good coach. This guy had Tennessee as the number one seed. He took him to an AFC championship game. For God's sake, he had Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback. Drake May, all due respect to Ryan Tannehill, Drake May can be much better than Ryan Tannehill. This is year 2 for him. We'll see how much freedom he's going to have within this offense. I'm not expecting him to be fucking Tom Brady, for God's sake, but I like this Patriots team, and like I said, this is me showing a bunch of faith in Mike Vrabel. It's a coin flip, really, for who's third and who's fourth. I'm gonna say that the Jets are gonna finish. I'm gonna say that the Jets are gonna finish third. It's gonna be interesting to see what Aaron Glenn does. I like Justin Fields. The question is, how are they going to run this offense? And, what are they going to expect him to do? Because if you're expecting Justin Fields to, go out there and, just gunsling it all over the place and, be a proficient, dominant, high-level passer, you're crazy. Like, the guy is just not that far along. But they have talent. Wide receiver Garrett Wilson, he's great. Breece Hall, like they got guys there. And I think Aaron Glenn, it'll be interesting to see if he's, a little bit more hard-nosed. Like Robert Saleh was a defensive coordinator and walked in there and he didn't have the belief of the locker room. Also, I think the whole Aaron Rodgers experience really kind of just ruined that franchise a little bit. This is a wild card. I'm not going to say they're going to be a wild card team, but this is like one of those, like one of those schizophrenic teams where you just don't know where they're going to go. And then I'm going to put Miami in last place because frankly, I just don't, I think that this team is tapped out in terms of what they can do because Mike McDaniel, great offensive mind. I don't think he's that great of a head coach. Tua Tagovailoa, very talented passer, but he needs to have a lot of things to be perfect around him. And listen, there's been a lot of noise about Tyreek Hill. We'll see what Devon Achane at running back can do. Jalen Ramsey gets traded out of there. Now Minkah Fitzpatrick's in there. We'll see how that works out with that big trade that happened this offseason. So the Dolphins, I cannot, I've seen them so much, and I just don't know if there's any progression. And, I think the Patriots are going to be better. The Patriots have been one of the worst teams in this division for the last couple of years. They got better at head coach. I think the rookie quarterback can take a little bit of a leap here. I don't know. I don't know about the Jets at quarterback, but I like Aaron Glenn. I think that's going to be something to watch. And, they've got pieces there in New York. With the Dolphins, it's a lot of the same. And again, the biggest thing for them to me is I know what I have in Mike McDaniel. I know what I have. And I just don't think that this guy is cut out to be a long-term head coach in the NFL. So if this goes sideways, Mike McDaniel's probably going to lose his job. So to me, if you're looking for the order of this division, I think it's clearly the Buffalo Bills are going to win it. And they have a really good chance of winning the AFC and potentially winning the Super Bowl. I think the New England Patriots, depending on how things go, I think they could be one of those teams, depending on how their schedule shakes out and how things work out during the season, that, they could potentially maybe mix themselves into a wild card position, potentially. I just like Mike Vrabel a lot, and I think he's going to instill a lot in that team. And, the rookie quarterback, I think, can take a leap. And, say what you will about Josh McDaniels, the head coach. The guy's a great coordinator. So I think that offense is going to be better. Vrabel knows what he's doing, it being the CEO of the team. So we'll see where that goes. And then, like I said, it's really a crapshoot between the Jets and the Dolphins. And my rationale of thinking here is that I don't really know what I have with Aaron Glenn. What I saw from him being a defensive coordinator and now being a first-time head coach with the Jets, an organization that he knows he played for, I have more faith in him because of the unknown, and I think that there's just a better chance. With Mike McDaniel, it's just I don't see any progression with this team, and I don't see any reason for optimism with this team. I think the Dolphins will finish last. So that's my my AFC East preview. We'll have more coming out over the course of the next week before we get ultimately to opening night in Philadelphia. So thanks everybody for watching here. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.